You've been calling it laziness for years. The sink that has been full for days. A whole pile of it, and you clocked it every single time you walked past. And you feel a small drop every time you keep walking away. You could do a couple, but a couple won't make a dent in that. So you don't start at all. The shower you knew would help. You push it to later, and then later again. You stand in front of the thing you need to do, and your body just won't start. That stall has a name, and laziness was never it. It's a freeze response, and once you can feel what your body is actually doing, the morning stops looking like a test you keep failing. The part that makes you feel like you're losing a grip is this. You're not refusing. You want the thing done. You can picture how much lighter you'd feel with a clean sink and a quiet list, and the arms still won't move. The gap between wanting it and doing it has gone wide and silent, and no amount of standing there, staring at the sink ever closes it. You've gritted your teeth and forced it more times than you can count, and every time it didn't take, you trusted yourself a little less. But what you've been fighting was never in the part that answers to force, which is why the fight has felt a little rigged, and it's also the way out. It isn't only the dishes, and most days you don't even get that close. You've been in and out of the kitchen 5 times, for a cup of coffee or to grab the mail, but you never once went to that sink, circling the one thing you're not doing like there's a hole in the floor where it sits. Standing right in front of it, body refusing to start. That's the rare day. Getting out of bed can feel like lifting a car off your chest, and you lie there, already tired from a day that hasn't even started yet, running the math on who you can cancel and what excuse will hold. You'll make up a reason you can't make it to the thing you already said yes to, and the reason is never the real one. The real one is that whatever used to just get you up and moving has gone quiet, and there's no clear way to say that out loud. It turns up in the supermarket of all places. Too many boxes of the same cereal and your mind just goes numb. You just stand there in the aisle, way too long. A grown adult stopped cold by a shelf. So you pick up a box and you pretend to read the back of it so the person passing sees somebody deciding instead of somebody who can't. You fired off 4 easy texts today without even thinking about it, and the one that actually matters has sat there since Tuesday. The cruel part is that the things that would help are the exact things you can't reach. A hot shower would help, and you know it would, but the shower was never really 10 steps down the hall. It's a whole string of small tasks wearing one name. Getting your clothes ready, getting everything set up for the shower, undressing, then the water, then the wet hair, then the blow dryer, and then making yourself into a dressed, put-together person again on the other side. Steps are cheap. It's the whole transaction that feels like more than you can pay. Meanwhile, the rest of it quietly stacks up. A birthday you meant to mark and let slide right past. And the friend you keep meaning to call slowly becomes a friend you're a little ashamed to call, because how do you explain that you just couldn't? So you go quiet and you let people believe you're busy when really you've been sitting very still inside of a life that won't stop asking you to move. Then you finally clear it, the whole sink emptied after days, or the shower you kept pushing off till later tonight has been taken. And for a second it lands like you just did something enormous, because from where you're standing you did. Nobody around you would get why a cleared sink would feel like that, but you do. And then about 30 seconds later, a voice starts doing the math. Days, it says, for a sink of dishes that should have taken you 20 minutes. It takes a real win and quietly discounts it, and that's the freeze talking to you. The same yelling at yourself in your head that never once helped you start. It just waits until you're done to tell you it wasn't enough. Some of you have carried this so long you stopped calling it anything. It just became your normal. The pile that never goes down, the small tasks sitting exactly where you left them. And somewhere in those years, you quietly filed it under a verdict about your character. Lazy, undisciplined, weak, a procrastinator, maybe even a bit depressed. You've been wearing a word that was never the right size for what's actually going on. And here's the part that keeps you from ever catching it. A lot of you are running 2 lives at once. There's the one everybody sees, the one who's always on top of things, organized. capable of handling anything, and it's real, and you are genuinely that person. But holding you up all day takes everything you have, and the moment you're home where there's nobody left to keep it up for, the whole thing sets down and the freeze walks straight in. So you get measured, most of all by yourself, on the version that works. And the frozen days barely register, least of all to you. Because when you are so on that you can hardly believe the frozen days were ever that bad. I'll tell you the one thing that gets to me. It's definitely the laundry. It takes me forever. I can see those 2 baskets in the corner overflowing with clothes, and I can walk past them for days. What finally moved me wasn't deciding to because I didn't want to at all. It was opening a drawer one morning and seeing I only had a couple of pairs of pajamas left. I had to then, or I was going to run out of what I needed. That's what broke it. Not willpower. I just simply ran out. Maybe you already know this from the outside. Watching someone you love disappear into it. The one who stays in bed, who lets the good things sit there untouched. You've read it as them not trying, or them being unmotivated. It never was, and the day you stop looking like laziness in you is the day you stop looking like laziness in them. Picture a breaker box in your house, that row of switches you never think about until the power cuts out. Every circuit has a limit. Run too much on one line at once, the kettle and the heater both roaring together, and a breaker trips, cutting the power to the whole part of the house. Not because the wiring is broken, but because tripping is the one thing it was built to do, cutting the power before the load can start a fire. You have the same thing inside of you. When too much lands at once, more than the system can carry, your body does the most protective thing it knows. It trips the breaker and pulls the power, and the power it cuts first runs to the exact part of your brain that plans and starts things, the part that would normally hand you the first step. That part goes dark. So there you are at the sink with the wanting fully intact and the starter unplugged. And exactly how the body pulls that power, deep in the wiring, the people who sit with this every day understand better than the science has nailed down. So hold that part loosely. The shape of it is solid enough to lean on. This is the freeze response. Most of us only have ever learned about fight or flight, but there's a third one nobody mentions. The one for when you can't fight and you can't run, so the body goes still instead. When it runs quietly under an ordinary 2 full life, some people call it functional freeze. You look fine, you're answering texts with one thumb, and underneath the starter, it just won't turn over. You might have been calling this depression the whole time, and a lot of people do, because from the outside the two can look almost the same. And sometimes it really is depression, which is real and worth taking seriously. But there's a difference, and you can feel it from the inside. In depression, the wanting itself goes quiet and the color drains out of things. A freeze is the opposite. The wanting is still fully there. You just can't reach it. You felt it. Someone asks you what you want and you go numb, and you say whatever's fine. And the real answer shows up an hour later when nobody's even asking anymore. You can watch it happen in real time if you catch it. The thought arrives, do the dishes, and it's like the message gets sent and then just dropped, somewhere between deciding and moving. No decision to skip it, no argument with yourself, only a quiet nothing where the doing should have started. The gap you feel is the power being cut, doing for you exactly what a tripped breaker does for a house. Picture a girl of about 7 in a house that was more than she could take in, where she never knew what was coming next, and the not knowing was its own kind of afraid. She can't fight her way out of it, and she can't walk out the door and leave. So her mind does the one thing left. It goes quiet and makes her still, as if being still enough could lift her out of the room and set her somewhere safer. And it works. It gets her through, and she doesn't even know she's doing it. A body keeps what works, so it writes the rule in permanent ink. When it's all too much, go still. The only trouble is it never gets the memo that she grew up. So 30 years on, the load lands all at once, and that same old wiring reads the one word it ever trusted. too much, and does what it learned back then. The 7-year-old's oldest, smartest move, still running in a life she doesn't even live anymore. It runs deeper the earlier it started and the longer it went on. So for some it's light, and for others it's a lot heavier. The freeze was never you failing to start. It was your nervous system refusing to start on purpose, to keep you from burning through the little you had left. Laziness is someone who could and won't. This was someone who wanted to and couldn't, because the power to the starter has been pulled. Those two are miles apart, and you'd been blaming yourself for the wrong one for years now. So the first move is smarter than any technique, and you can make it the second you catch the stall. So take the whip out of your own hand, stop the argument, and let the freeze be a freeze. Not one more verdict on who you are. It's the ground everything else stands on. One thing changes how you climb out of this. A freeze is a state, and states pass. That heavy, power-down feeling pinning you to the edge of the bed is a setting your body dropped into. A setting can come back up. You can't think your way up, because thinking runs on the very power that got cut. What flips the switch is doing, not deciding. There's a name for it, one of the most tested tools in the field: behavioral activation. It just means you move first and let the moving bring the want back, instead of waiting on motivation that runs on power you don't have. Remember the laundry? It didn't break because I finally wanted to. It broke because I ran out. This is choosing that same push on purpose. Moving before you're down to your last clean thing, instead of waiting for the world to force your hand. Here are 2 moves, and both are small on purpose, because small is the one thing that gets underneath a freeze. The first, flip one switch. Frozen in front of a whole pile? You don't try to bring the whole house back at once. Pick the single smallest switch and flip only that, even if it's only a plate in the sink. 1 foot from under the blanket and onto the floor. Just 1 line on the email, not the entire email. It might feel pointless, because on its own it barely dents that pile, and that feeling is the freeze talking. The move is to do one thing and not sign up for everything at once. Do it anyway. You're proving one switch is there still moves, and that's enough for now. The second move, it takes off the pile. A freeze is your body telling you the load is too big, so the answer is never to shove harder against it. It's to make the load smaller. Get the 12 things out of your head where they're all pressing on you together, and put them on one piece of paper. That covers all but a single line. Forget sorting your life out. One thing in the window, and the rest can wait behind it. None of this is fast. You'll freeze again, and some days you'll flip nothing at all, and your to-do list just seems to get longer. But each time it holds you a little less, until the morning comes when you're standing at the sink and you feel that freeze start to land. And this time your hand keeps moving towards the plate anyway. No one hands you anything for that, but it matters all the same. And the power finds its way back to your starter, one small proof at a time that you can still start a thing. The next time you're standing at the sink and your body won't move, try to remember what it's actually doing down there. It cut the power because everything you were carrying landed on one line at once, and one tired body was never going to hold all of that lit. Going still was how it kept you from burning down. That was never you giving up on yourself. It was the oldest, smartest move your body had, spending the last of that light to keep you standing until the weight eased. You're wired. Christina here. If you found yourself anywhere in this, I'm really glad you made it to the end, because I know this exact pattern can turn even watching a video into one more thing on your plate that you can't start. There's more of this coming. More of what sits underneath an ordinary looking life and never quite gets said out loud. So if you'd like more of that, subscribe and drop in the comments. What is the small task that's been sitting there undone, the one your body keeps walking past?